Yeah, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said something reasonable. This is the New York Police Department dance team, here in this picture.
Okay.
And
oh,
I saw this video.
AOC,
what is this?
she of communism in the US Congress, says how many school music programs got defunded for this. So her angle is weird, and I don't trust her in the slightest to actually have good intentions, but she is correct that this is a waste of money.
Apparently there's
Why the f does a police department have a dance team?
Is there a
Are
video?
you kidding me?
There is a video.
Please check if
There is a video. There is a video. It's on Twitter.
I want to see this. I haven't.
If anybody has a link for it, make
So
things faster.
if it's a voluntary organization where they fund themselves and it's just named after the New York Police Department, then that's different. But if there's any government money going towards it, then there shouldn't be. See if I can find it.
Well, of course, there's government money going towards it. They're
I know,
police,
but
right?
if they're using part of their paycheck voluntarily to fund the dance thing, then that's different.
Biden's on that one.
All right, here we go. This is
Nice.
This is it.
All right, let's see this. Let's see if they're even good. Why are they fat? Aren't they the police?
A very pertinent question, Di, to which there is no good answer.
Okay.
There are no skinny policemen. They're all fat.
The only not fat one here is black. They don't even look particularly muscular. That's the thing.
They're using a song from 2008 too.
Well, no, just the dance isn't even that rigorous. It's like if
It's
you're
like
a police,
it's like a nursing home.
Yeah, I'd expect them to at least try. Like you're wasting money on this, and you're not even good. You're not even like a decent dance that you're showing people. Like, what is this? Like, at least like do some break dancing.
Wait. Oh, the ones at the end.
The fat one didn't go on the floor.
Both of the ones at the end aren't crouching down, but they are the fattest. So it may just be that they were told, no, don't bother. You're too fat. Like, you can get away with it. Just do less work.
It's because otherwise it'll be ableist.
Jesus Christ.
Seven of these
I want to see the
people.
rest of this.
This is a relevant meme for this.
Oh
Even
my
the comic
God.
draws them as fat.
Yeah.
Well, the knife is
thought
already
this
in this
was
guy's
a good
head.
idea. I wonder whose idea this was and why they thought it was a good one.
Yeah, these have to be officers.
Moving. They're not really. They're so slow.
Yeah, like these have to be officers, right? Like they wouldn't sponsor just like this small handful of people, right? They probably thought this was like a good team building exercise. They're like, women, let them dance.
But like, look at how they're moving. Like, there's no.
So quick question, chat. Is there a decent amount of crime in New York? Is crime like basically under control? Like
no,
a robbery a week, maybe. Like murder is almost unheard of.
Only one robbery a week? No, couldn't be. No way.
Or is it rampant beyond all control?
No, the subways are completely safe. What are you talking about?
Lemon in chat says that crime in New York is at an all-time low, and he feels genuinely safe walking around in the city.
So wait. So they defunded the police. They defunded the police, and then you get this. What is it? Officers that that dance slowly and are fat and are not stopping crime, and are dancing.
Here's a not so hot take: women should not be police officers at all, ever. Women should not be involved in the exertion of physical force against anybody.
I would say actually not. I agree in practice,
in the police, but they would not like. What I want to say is, I don't think they should work in frontline at all.
So I agree with you guys in practice, but de jure, what you should have is the same physical fitness standards for men, which almost no women will ever be able to pass. The ones that genuinely can pass it, that should be fine.
They
True,
barely
but
have physical fitness standard tests for
That's the
police.
problem.
You know,
That's
the
the problem.
fucking
If they
testing
had-
for police, it's like 6 to 8
look how
months
fat
in
they
a
are.
course.
You can already tell that there's no standards.
No, I agree. No, you guys, that's the point.
You know,
if they
I know what you
had
mean.
the
Yeah.
standards, it wouldn't be a problem.
But the standards that they do have, they lower it just for women.
They
Like,
do, yeah.
I don't.
They do it in the
personally
military.
don't- Yeah, I personally don't think that women should be on the front line because again, they're a liability, and they put the other officers at risk just because they are weaker and they, if they're in danger, it's just not. It's a recipe for disaster all around.
Well,
no matter what.
also, also women are trigger happy because they're weaker. So you have a man who is like 3 heads taller than you. You know, you gotta like confront him. You're gonna be a little bit on edge because he can push you over and like with the tip of his finger.
I
So
remember
like they're
hearing-
always drawing. I think female officers have a high percentage of like
It's not just
officer
that.
involved
I remember
shootings.
hearing the story where it was like this female officer came across a rape happening in real time and went over to try and help the woman being raped, and then turned around and raped her as well. She was just traumatized. Like this is what I'm saying. It's like sometimes like certain. I don't think women do well on frontline work like that. Not to say there isn't no place for them in the police force or something like that, but just not as frontline police.
It's
Yeah,
a very-
I agree, Field, and that's why they should be paramedics exclusively. You shouldn't have women be in the police force. They need to be like carers and nurturers and like compassionate.
they're
They
going
shouldn't
to
be
be there,
involved
they
in
can't-
that.
There's no way that they should be allowed first like to patrol on their own.
Yeah.
They need to be
That's
behind a
something that I think is
desk.
really-
No, not even with a partner. They don't even need a partner. They need to be behind a desk.
No, but I'm just saying if you're going to have like female police out in the streets, like having them patrolling alone is really stupid. And there's a lot of cases where that does happen because they're like low on staff. And it's just all around like a massive mistake.
So for what I
Yeah.
said to Lemon a few minutes ago, by the way, Lemon said, "I am saving a spot in hell for you next to me." Lemon did not, in fact, say that he feels safe in New York. I was seeing how he'd react to me just saying it.
It's like a sleeper agent phrase. I don't like police. I really think they're overused and they're like complete like on power trips most of the time. However, the problem to fix them is not to give them less money. It's to give them more money so they can have better training, better equipment, and be better outfitted. That way, they won't, you won't be scraping the bottom of the barrel with who you're hiring to be in these police units.
More money,
Well, yeah,
less
again-
managers, no hiring from outside for management,
No diversity
no
classes.
racial quotas or anything even similar to it, no
No
ideology
unions.
whatsoever.
No, that's a big one. There should be no police unions. Ugh, that pisses me off so much. It's like you get fired at one for misconduct, you get hired at the next city over. Awful.
That might not be the fault of unions specifically. That might be something that happens anyway.
There's
But
a lot of
unions
Kinda
for a
A-
government
there's a-
job is maybe not a viable idea anyway. But I think unions, when they are completely voluntary, are okay, and they're a decent force in the market. But if there's any degree to which your membership is coerced or assumed, then they're worse than useless.
Again, there is so much corruption in these types of things that there is a lot of checks and balances that are needed because you will have officers that try and get other officers like in situation like for instance like an officer gets caught in a ring, right? Like you have stuff like that happening, and then other officers that try and get them caught or like bring them to justice instead get over, and then the ones that are in that kind of environment instead get propped up because quote unquote like they're undercover or blah 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 and all of these types of things. In certain environments like that, it's pure chaos, and you're dealing with the most evil of the evil. Like you can't. I don't see a world where we can't like not have police and like not have things going out of control. Like crime is rampant. You need someone to deal with that.
Building on what Wilson and Field in chat say, there's been a sort of a selection process in many institutions across the Western world, but in this case, particularly the US police, for things like the 2020 riots, where any reasonable police officer was more likely to leave, and of course also the COVID vaccine mandates, any reasonable police officer
Many
would be
good
more
people
likely to
left,
leave.
yeah.
This is something I think the establishment is doing to try to get the police and military more on their side by just removing the people who have a soul from these organizations, and of course putting more managers in who
you know
are
what they're also
bureaucrats
doing?
and are not very good at their jobs, so they're incompetent. So the only people that are there are incompetent, and the competent ones are punished. Of course, like, a lot of generals are in the US military are very cucked, even though the majority of the people in it aren't.
Well, not even just that. Like in Ireland specifically, they're already kind of replacing the actual like police with foreign nationals, like either refugees with their diversity hiring, or people that are not even like proper citizens, and then giving them the power to be able to police the actual citizens of that land, which I don't think should ever be allowed. Like no one that isn't a citizen or like is quote unquote taking refuge in a place should have the ability to then go and police the citizens of that land.
I agree.
And that's happening in many places currently.
You're gonna like this, Di.
And they're all using it as being like, oh well, we're understaffed, and it's like, well, why don't you actually get the people in those land, like make things better for the people?
Is that a problem in Europe? That doesn't really happen here.
It's happening in Ireland
you say that,
currently.
Speaking of that, this is Kelly Wong. She is not an American citizen. She cannot legally vote in this country. She is now on the San Francisco Elections Commission.
Shit like this should not be possible. Like, there's no way you should have foreign nationals being able to get any sort of power like this.
This is
it's crazy.
Probably the kind of thing that's so obviously not allowed that it probably wasn't even written in the Constitution, even though it's obviously what it was intended. It might be written in there, but it might have just been so obvious they didn't even bother.
I feel like it should be stated somewhere. Everybody has the notion that you can't hold public office if you're not a citizen of the country. Like
so
you can't run for office if you don't live in the same
after
county.
Obama, I guess that went out the
That crowd says framers lived in a world where you didn't have to ask these kinds of questions. Yes, it's so obvious. It's the kind of thing they might not even have put in the document.
That's all so tiresome.
I can't believe that this is even being allowed. Like, because I remember I was telling you how like one of the highest positions in the police currently was being given to someone that was like a Canadian citizen. They weren't even Irish.
Mm.
And that's
I can't wait for Yellowstone to crack open and just swallow the entire west side of the country. I mean, it's happening soon, right? That's what happened in 2012. That movie. That movie 2012. Remember that? The world is ending.
Yeah, as the field says, defund police, publicly show trial several cops for defending themselves, fire cops for questioning things. Where did all the good cops go? I believe the process there was intentional, every part of it. It is everything that's happening these days, I'm thinking more and more over time, bears the hallmarks of very indirect, so multiple levels of abstraction, Chinese subversion along the very same lines as the demoralization subversion from the Soviet Union. This is exactly the kind of thing I'd expect. Funnily enough, Kelly Wong, Taiwanese, Korean, Japanese, Filipino, don't know. But Chinese is one of those viable options of something she could be. Yeah, so just before an election, they're putting a Chinese woman with a surprisingly large nose in charge of elections in a Democrat stronghold. Granted, it'd be more suspicious if they were doing it in a swing state, but still.
Yeah, considering it's California, it honestly doesn't change much there. It's going to be as shitty as it's always ever been.
Yeah,
I don't think you're going to see noticeable improvements, but it very may well get worse.
If there's any year that the Democrats could lose a significant amount of their like sure thing states, with how popular Trump is right now and how unpopular Biden is, it could be this time. So maybe they do need to worry about bolstering even their strongholds.
Interesting to see.
Very much so.
2年前我嚟到三藩市嘅時候咧，
Holy shit, she's not even speaking English.
See, what did I tell you?
Holy shit.
I tell you?
She's not even speaking English.
How is this possible that they could allow this? I just don't get it, man.
Bing chilling.
What are those characters down at the bottom of the screen? Are those Japanese? Are those Korean? Are those Filipino? Are they Taiwanese? Are they what are those exactly? God, what are those?
That's goop language.
I don't know.
Bing chilling.
Like, okay, like 90% chance that she is a Chinese government operative. 90% chance.
It's the same one that slept with Hunter Biden. It's the same one that slept with
90%?
the sleeper agent, the spy, the laptop. The numbers, Mason.
The Field says California is only blue through fraud. You might be right about that. I'm reluctant to say that with certainty, but I suspect so. He says all it would take is for the Trump supporters to investigate the elections and hundreds of these will go to prison. I hope so. Yes, Wilson.
I mean, I don't know if I completely agree with that, considering the major cities in California pretty much control the entirety of that state. The local populations aren't really big enough, are they, to turn it red?
Propaganda is a huge factor as well, and the cities will be where that's hitting hardest. So the combination of propaganda and election rigging is probably doing it. If you killed the election rigging, I think it would be a much closer race, perhaps even enough on its own to fix it. But the propaganda is also a factor. Unfortunately, that's a less illegal, less egregious factor, because while propaganda, obviously, the way they're doing it is bad, and is deceptive, it is up to the people to decide that. With the election rigging, that is just straight up wrong and evil at the outset. So yeah, that's happening.